Hi everyone, my name is Sasha Gilmore. I'm a third-year PhD student in the Earth and Environment program, as well as a third-year urban trainee. And this summer, I completed my urban internship with Union of Concerned Scientists, specifically the Science Hub for Climate Litigation. And my project was to create an amicus brief, provide case support, and create a judicial education template. So the Union of Concerned Scientists Science Hub for Climate Litigation, overall, they're a national nonprofit that puts rigorous independent science into action to develop solutions and advocate for a healthy, safe, and just future. The Hub connects scientific experts, legal scholars, and practitioners working at the intersection of science and climate litigation to help those affected by environmental harms take action against those responsible parties that are initiating those climate harms. So I worked with the three different partners that I'll be mentioning. Of course, the first is the Science Hub for Climate Litigation. The second is Disability Law United, which works to eliminate discrimination at every intersection. And they're also a national nonprofit legal organization that fights for liberation and equity through the lens of intersectional disability justice. The second is the New Orleans Water Collaborative that works to ensure water management is climate resilient, accessible, affordable, and clean for all residents of New Orleans. So our project scope includes first creating a literature review and annotated bibliography and policy memo on climate impacts of saltwater intrusion in New Orleans. Then I created a template for legal teams to apply the scientific evidence to amicus briefs in support of cases related to not just saltwater intrusion, but also sea level rise and flooding. Again, like I mentioned, I provided case support for the partner organizations. And lastly, I created a judicial education presentation on saltwater intrusion and flooding impacts that was later presented to some of the UCS team members. So to give an overview of saltwater intrusion, it occurs when seawater moves into freshwater aquifers and coastal areas, and this can happen when storm surges and high tides flood low-lying areas, or when saltwater filters into groundwater. So normally it's a natural phenomenon that the Earth just goes through, but as a result of climate change and anthropogenic forces, it has only worsened as time has continued and will only continue to worsen in frequency and intensity. And here's a little graphic just showing how that saltwater intrusion occurs. So some of the main findings, I wanted to focus on the health of the people just because we're looking at environmental justice harms. So one of the main issues is that it can increase blood pressure and risk of heart disease and stroke. And for pregnant women, it can lead to eclampsia, seizures, and miscarriages during pregnancy. And this map just shows the coastal regions where it occurs the most. So some of the environmental findings that I found. So excessive pumping of this fresh groundwater is occurring in New Orleans. This is because the saltwater wedge is moving up the drought-drained Mississippi River, and this coastal submergence has begun to impact the communities as a result of increased flooding and salinity. So here's a map of the New Orleans metro area and a kind of an estimated timeline for how saltwater intrusion will continue throughout the area. So some of the next steps upon completing this internship, I definitely want to follow up with the partner organizations that I mentioned on potential cases that they may bring forth on the scientific materials that I gave to them on saltwater intrusion. I definitely keep in contact with the hub, the Climate Hub for Science Education, just because I want to see if my work can be used for future materials that occur after the summer internship. And lastly, I want to continue fostering those connections I made with the broader UCS teams in terms of my dissertation work on flooding impacts on vulnerable communities, because there's definitely that strong connection. Thank you.